Hello, this is Greg Gals from Green Greg's coming to you on the 4th December 21. Time on deck 204700 hours Central Standard Time. And just so happens that reports are telling us that Russia is planning to launch an invasion of 175,000 troops against the Ukraine. And according to Ukraine, they believe this could happen as early as late January. So by late January or February, we may be into a full-blown invasion of Ukraine by Russian troops. At least that's what a couple of different sources seem to be pointing to. Now, this is a very trying time ahead of us here. A lot of countries may be getting involved in this. Ukraine has pledges of support from Britain and France, and somewhat indirectly from the United States in various degrees. So if one of our other allies gets pulled into this and gets attacked, we may be treaty bound to respond. This could spiral out of control. And as you know, Putin has drawn his red lines, and so we're going to get all into that. But, you know, Putin also has some formidable weapons against us with his new S-500 anti-aircraft missiles, which he believes can take down F-35s, and the new hypersonic missiles that are coming online, PDQ. So my friends, this could be a rough time. And let's hope and pray that it isn't. And I'm going to kind of paint it out a little bit. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what it is and what it isn't. But whether this breaks for us, whether it's the deals in Iran, whether it's China, whether it's this year, next year, or 2 or 3 years from now, we're in some pretty grim times. The international tensions have never been, in my memory, this tense. And you know, this is looking so much like 1939. It's unfunny, not funny at all. But it's also looking like, you know, we're on the precipice of economic disaster. We got civil strife here in the United States. We've got this stuff going on. Guys, if you're not prepping, you better really be thinking hard about it. Now, I highly suggest you subscribe to my channel, bang the update notification bell, and click all. And that way you can get the updates on my channel more readily. Check back here occasionally just to make sure that you're in fact getting them. And furthermore, you know, I'll bring you a lot of videos. Why don't you want this? Because I got a lot of videos about what's going on in the world. So you can keep your eyes wide open and head on a swivel for what's coming. And that's what this video is all about in this series. And also I do have other videos that kind of help you prepare for bad times, the worst of times, whatever may come, like how to eat free from the weeds and the trees. I've got wild edible videos. I've got gardening videos. You're really going to need to understand gardening. Worm farming videos. That's how you garden without having to go to the store, which may not exist in that day and time. But also I bring you other things because it, you know, if you have a nuclear winter, a volcanic winter, you may have to forestall your gardening for a few years. And then again, your skills may require some work to get up to power to feed your family anyway. And even from the wild, the weeds and the trees, you're probably going to be short on carbs and protein. So my friends, I got to tell you, I got a special for you. If you go to prepwithgreg.com, you get $100 off a special, a 3-month supply of this food that lasts 25 years. You get 6 of these buckets. Each bucket is 2 weeks. 6 of these buckets that will last you for a long time. This is actually a 3-month supply of food that can last 25 years. You get 2,000 calories a day, a lot more than a lot of the competitors offer. They claim that a day's rations is 800 calories. That's starvation rations, guys. 2,000 calories a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This is a deal that'll make you a winner. So check it out. Go to prepwithgreg.com to check out that special. And you can also find many other prepping supplies. Go to prepwithgreg.com and then click the My Patriot Supply logo once you go there. And it'll take you in to find all kind of good prepping supplies that will help you and your family through the worst of times. All right, then, my friend, let's get all into this. So let me tell you about this. Let me talk about what is happening there. So the reports are that Russia is orchestrating a multi-front offensive involving up to 175,000 troops as soon as next year. And the Washington Post reported this now last Friday, yesterday. And the Ukraine had warned that that this large-scale attack could be planned as early as next month. And other sources say late next month. And so what this entails is, according to sources, an extensive movement of 100 battalions of tactical groups with an estimated 175,000 personnel, along with armor, artillery, and other equipment. Now, this comes from a so-called anonymous U.S. administration source, whatever that means. They told us to the Post on the condition of anonymity. Well, and the Pentagon wouldn't directly comment on those matters, but it says it's deeply concerned about the evidence that Russia has made plans for an aggressive action against Ukraine. And, you know, they're hoping to de-escalate that, according to Pentagon spokesman, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Simulov. So, yeah, they're hoping for a diplomatic solution, but it's getting licking thinner and thinner for that. Russian forces are currently amassed at four places, with 50 battlefield tactical groups deployed, in addition to fresh arrivals of tanks and artillery. This stuff, it just keeps coming, guys. It just keeps coming. They're growing their stuff. They've already got over 100,000 people on the border, according to sources, and it is going up. And like I said, the sources are saying that they're planning to actually bring up to 175,000. So, and you know, like the Ukrainians are saying that they're expecting Russia to reach peak readiness toward the end of January. Doesn't mean that's exactly when they would move, if they're going to move. And of course, the United States has been kicking back at them on this, and Russia's saying, you know, well, look, the Ukrainians have got, you know, 100,000 troops amassed, you know, against the Donbass region. So, you know, they claim it's in response to that. Maybe it is, but certainly many are thinking something's going to happen or something's going to go down. As you might know, President Biden just had a conversation with President Putin about this stuff. Now, President Putin of Russia had been coming out and drawing all these red lines and saying, if any NATO forces go in Europe, no, excuse me, if any NATO forces, you're based in Europe, if any NATO forces go to Ukraine, that's a red line. And his red lines means that, you know, it's like war, we'll attack. You know, so he's basically, you know, made these kind of statements, we'll attack your forces, you know, and he's made very threatening statements about that. But Biden, supposedly when he talked to Putin, said, I don't accept any red lines. I don't see any red lines. So that paints a little different picture. So it's like Biden says he's ignoring it. And furthermore, he has made statements like that they would, you know, that Russia would be punished severely, kind of things, you know. So yeah, there is some. He's what Biden actually said is this. He says, his plans were to make it very difficult for Mr. Putin to go ahead with what people are worried he may do. So specifically, that's what he said. To take the whole statement, says, what I am doing is putting together what I believe to be, will be, that's a weird word, but that's what he said, the most comprehensive and meaningful set of initiatives to make it very difficult. He says very, very difficult for Mr. Putin to go ahead and do what people are worried he may do. Well, what does he mean by that? Well, maybe that's better. It was best elucidated by the Department of State head, Blinken. He said last week that the U.S. would impose severe sanctions. Yeah, is that really going to do the deal here? What sort of sanctions done to stop any country that wanted to take something of late? Not very much, but that's what Blinken said. He said the U.S. would propose very severe sanctions. Okay, well, based on that, it's really hard to know how this is going out. But you know, what Putin had said also very recently was that he's trying to get assurances that the United States will not put any more armaments near the borders of Russia. No more NATO forces, no more NATO weapons near the borders of Russia. Russia seems to be very concerned about that for some reason. Of course, like I explained in a previous video, Russia does have the heebie-jeebies about being invaded because it cost them a lot when the Germans invaded them back in World War II, and they to this day very heartily celebrate their victory over Germany. I know because I went to an opera based on that, and the building where the basically the government of Russia Politburo meets inside the Kremlin. I went to an opera where they had the dancing Cossacks and all that stuff, and that was the whole purpose of the opera. Oh boy, it was highly attended too. So it was considered, you know, one of the top level events there. Yeah, I've been to that. So here's something I'm going to share. Screen with you. This will fit with what I've been telling you guys all along. Hang on, guys. Do a share. Bing, bing, bing. Here we go. Russians believe Ukrainians want to be liberated. What did I tell you? I told you before a war, each side will try to propagandize its people to make them believe certain things, to dehumanize the enemy or something like this. So here it is. I'm not going to read this article. Russians believe that Ukrainians want to be liberated. Ukrainians. Well, where does that come from? Okay. I guess many things. One, as I mentioned in a previous video, there was a duly elected president of Russia that the CIA and other folks with the so-called color revolution overthrew because he favored Russia. We just went in and overthrew him. And that's what got Russia upset and kind of led to the conflict that led to Russia annexing Crimea. Russia was never going to let go of Crimea. That's their main warm water naval base. You do not expect they're going to let that go. That would be a world war. You know, we're saying, well, you got to give it up. You got to give it up. You know, we can't accept that. Guys, that's just nonsense talk. They're not doing it. They will go to World War III over that. To them, that's a very key strategic asset, and they're not going to give it up. Like it or not, it's just the way it is. Now, otherwise, also, you may know Eastern Russia's got a lot of ethnic Russian. The Eastern Ukraine's got a lot of ethnic Russians in it. Now, in the past wars and so forth, and World War II, Russia was very hard on Ukraine. They went in there, and it was a breadbasket of Europe, and they starved Ukrainian farmers, just taking everything the Russian Soviet forces did. And they moved a lot of their people in. Now, maybe there were already a lot of people, more Russians in the eastern side of Ukraine. I don't know before that, but they certainly, you know, Russia had a program of moving their people in all these little satellite states to make them more Russian. And eastern Ukraine does have a fair number of Russians in it, especially the Donbass region, which has a separatist. Now, I believe any region ought to be given whatever autonomy they want. Somebody, you know, if a group wants to leave one country and join another country or be independent, if they vote for it, so be it. That's how I see things. And neither side should fight over it. You know, that's just the way it ought to be. It shouldn't be something that rises to the occasion of war. But that's what we're looking at here. Your mind, both sides are saying, but you know, that's just not the way it ought to be. Now, so here we are with a very tense situation. Russia would like to negotiate it too, as it seems, but they want to make sure this place stays autonomous, the Donbass region, and that Ukraine will not invade or do anything to it. And Ukraine has their own demands too, but they have a hard time. They're having a hard time accepting that idea. So where's this going to lead? Well, the sources are saying the Russians are going to roll. Will they? I don't know. I think there's a good chance they will, though. Because here's what you got to know. If they're going to roll, that's the time to roll. Because that's when the ground is frozen hard and the big tanks can move. And according to my friend Lee Wheelbarger, Russians' infrared equipment, their night vision systems, are not nearly as good as Americans, and they work a whole lot better in cold weather. So all the advantages for Russia are during the winter time. That's when they can strike best. That's when the iron is hot. So you might expect to see the Russians move then. I had for a while, as I mentioned in a previous video, thought that Russia and China would make their moves at the same time. But now that I understand those points, I got to say no. Because if the advantage to Russia is in the winter, it's not for China against Taiwan, because the sea states in the Strait of Taiwan are awful in the wintertime, and they're not likely to move until spring at the earliest, if then. Some people think it'll be 2024 or later before they would try to annex Taiwan. And I would think that if we make Taiwan bristly enough where it's just too expensive for China to move in, they'll just keep putting it off and keep putting it off long enough, they just won't be able to do it. Because China's hit their peak population this year. It's downhill with the proportion of population aging fast. Yeah, we got that problem too, but China is, and so does Russia, but it's going to be more stark in China. They're going to face it. It's going to hit them a lot harder, a lot faster. And all these advantages and things that are on their side right now will start to swing the other way over time. Now, they probably know that. They probably know the time is short. That may be why they want to make moves. That's why we got to make sure that they don't go militarily active. We just got to make it not worth it. But hopefully not with other military action. So maybe if we can just hold the peace. And I do believe in peace through strength, because a weak kid always gets kicked on the playground. And apparently the world operates just like that. Just got bullies who like to take the candy from the kids. So don't be the kid and get the candy taken from you. Be the kid that when a big bully comes up to reach for that candy, he's going to regret it. All right. Another thing we can do is just remember, like I said in my video on America yesterday, that person to person, people over the world are saying, I've been to Russia, man, I loved it there. I love the people there. I've dated Chinese women, love, and I got Chinese friends. You know, I turned the organization over that I spent 20 years developing to a friend who's Chinese descent. And so, you know, guys, there's good and bad people anywhere in the world. There's good people in every town, village, and hamlet of every race, religion, and color who would give you the shirt off their back. There's a lot of them are being propagandized right now in many ways, including us. But person to person, if we could just work directly person to person, not having all these organizations that stir us up against each other, we'd be a whole lot better off. We could get along. Essentially, at the core, we all want the same thing. Something Barbara Marx Hubbard discovered back many years ago when she came up with this terminology called synergism. She developed these workshops. You know, all these people, all these diametrically opposed ideas who all was like at each other. She get them together and get them to come to that realization and work together on things. So she was pretty brilliant at it. She was the center of the Marx toy company. She's probably passed away by now. She used to be really active in the World Future Society and the Old Five Society and things like that. That space societies that I was active in. Once upon a time. But she was inspirational in that area. She called it synergism. So it's true. We can find ways to work together. That's why I'm interested in this habitat concept, you know, that, hey, if we can come up with things where everybody's pretty much self-supporting and the government's coming around and tell you to pick up a bang stick and go knock at the guy across the hill, you're going to say, huh? Why? And his side, they tell him to do the same thing. He's going to go, you gotta be kidding me. What for? That's kind of where we need, where we bring these tensions down. But, you know, we got some despots running some countries. And, you know, I won't say that the people in the agencies in this country are all that great and wonderful. They never claimed that. But I do think the United States represents a dream, the idea of freedom, the idea of freedom. And that is something I think we really got to work on. And I think that is worthwhile. So let's keep the dream alive and don't slip into the hive. All right, my friends. Well, that I'm going to say, thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and Greg out.